Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's another Thursday morning. It's the 20th of May already. David, how are you, my friend? Where's the year going?
Oh, I'm absolutely fabulous, Nick, and I don't know where the year's going. I think us all being locked away and kept indoors, it seems to making time fly, or it certainly seems that way for me anyway.
Yeah, I know the days seem to go quite slow, but then you look round and the month's gone. And then you look out the window and think, well, where's summer? Yeah, it's not here yet. It's very confusing, very confusing. But we have started to escape. I know full well you've been out on the road this week. How does that feel?
Do you know, it was pretty amazing. So yeah, Monday, and I didn't get to the point of I had to get out, but obviously I've got clients I'm working with and haven't seen most of them for, in excess of 12 months face to face. So it was just nice to get out and just have a coffee and catch up with them and kind of put some plans together and stuff like that. So yeah, I was out Monday, had a few meetings on Monday, and then I went to a client site that I picked up a new client I've been working really well with over the lockdown period, kind of accelerating the business in the right direction. And we never met. We'd had the virtual conversation, but never met face to face. So we had the opportunity to meet for the first time. Yes, it was that awkward moment. Do we shake hands? Oh, go on then. And then it was quickly vax your hands. Well, it wasn't quite that. So yeah, no, it's been nice to get out and about and actually start to see people face to face once again. What about you, Nick? What's been going on in the world of Mr. Looby?
Well, let me get you on the. Oh, that's it.
Oh.
See, I saw you in the little window. It's like we're having another Zoom call, mate. Yeah, what's the world been like for Nick? It's a busy week. All right. I know last week was frantic, which we'll talk about in a second. But yeah, a busy week, but not out and about, which I'm really, really looking forward to. I'm desperate. I feel sorry for the first client that says, "Yeah, come. We'll have a meeting at my place." Right, because I'll be jumping up and down, in reception. So let me in.
Yeah, absolutely. You'll be nice and early, won't you? You won't be turning up dead on the hour like you would in a Zoom call. You'll be there with plenty of time in hand.
Yeah, I think people have to get used to that, won't they? Because in this Zoom Teams world, people kind of log in 30 seconds before. I like to turn up early. I wonder if people will then, real meetings face to face, turn up just before, or will we get back into the idea of arriving nice, bright and breezy early?
Yeah, interesting question actually. If you're sitting there watching the show this morning, have you gone out? Are you all back into the real world? Have you had a meeting this week? Have you had something to eat inside, or taken the opportunity to get out there and meet up with your customers, your clients, or just go maybe and do something you haven't done for a long time? Be interested to hear from you. How is your world changing? And if not, what are your plans? Are you planning to go out one evening with your family, meet up and sit in a restaurant inside? Because that way you're pretty safe. If it's going to rain, you're going to be okay. You're going to get away with it on this occasion. So yeah, it's an interesting era, and we've been speaking to lots of people over the past several weeks about this exciting transition. But more so, what we're hearing is that as much as people want to get back into the real world, events I'm going to lead with here. Nick and I are speakers, and obviously we've been involved with running and speaking and contributing to lots of real world events. We are hearing people saying, well, I want to get back out there, but I quite like being at home and joining a webinar or sitting in the comfort of my own armchair or my home office or wherever it may be. No travel, no parking, no disruption. I can join it for that short period of time. It's running for an hour. So we're into this hybrid area, and we're hearing a lot about that now, Nick.
Absolutely. There's also every story I come across, there seems to be more and more people are getting used to this idea of hybrid working or hybrid return to work, or the event needs to have a hybrid kind of basis to it. And the experiences from last week, the chat show at the XE exhibition, the conversations, those conversations will continue, and those conversations will no doubt be, okay, what is the hybrid version look like? And I saw in the news today that big shake-up come in for Network Rail, British Rail, which will come. But the interesting part about it was the idea of flexible season tickets. which you can use instead of every day. You can use 8 days out of 28. And clearly, on the back of people are going to go back to the office, but not on a daily basis. People are going to go to some events, but there's going to need to be a hybrid version. We will expect you to be at your desk 2 days out of 5. I don't know what it's going to look like. It'd be interesting to hear from the audience. What does the hybrid world look like for you so far?
Absolutely, yeah. What's happening in the business that you run, that you manage, or you work within? Are you being requested to come back in the office 1 or 2 days a week? Is it totally flexible? Do what you like, as long as you get your, get through the workload that you've been assigned to, or are you still working by the hour? Because we are changing. We are seeing this change. Some are now saying 4-day work weeks are coming. They're coming quite quickly as well. Some organizations are maybe the Friday or the Monday's being removed and, work from home 4 days a week, but it's all about the quality, not about, sitting there for hours upon hours and, trailing through your emails and, stuff like that. So it's an interesting time. And as you say, last week was all about EXI. It was the virtual exhibition, one of the best virtual exhibitions I've been to. The platform was outstanding. It was mind-boggling, blowing. It was really, really fantastic. And actually, we've got a snapshot of one of the virtual stands. I'm going to pop it up on the screen. There it is. It's the Simbok virtual stand. And this is what all the stands look like throughout the exhibition. And you could basically go along and have a chat. It initiated a video call and stuff like that. And it was revolutionary, really, how it worked. The auditorium, where Nick and I spent our mornings each morning from, we were doing 9:30 till 10:30 each morning, and kind of getting the show prepped and ready, and speaking to various exhibitors, sponsors, team members, anyone that was involved with the EXI side of things. And it was great fun, really great fun.
Really good, really engaging, and loads of conversations, which just bring them on. Right, conversation are definitely the way forward in our interesting world as it develops. The more conversations, I think, the better we will be, and it's great fun. Put that picture back up, will you, David? Let me have a look.
There it is.
Hey, you're looking dashing, my friend. Look at you on your stand.
Do you know, I actually look like I lost a few pounds in that picture. I've obviously been wearing the suit quite well. Nice. Comes off pretty well. But it was a great event. It was good fun. It was energizing. We got to meet some great people and hear some fantastic stories as well. So we look forward to continuing the relationship with EXI. Next year, the hybrid event hopefully will be there. So it'll be meet face to face as well as streamed virtually across the world. And of course, the last thing about these virtual events is that EXI was designed to be kind of based in Essex. If they were running it in a real world, it would have been in Essex. And if you wanted to come to that, it predominantly reaches the Essex business markets. But, they had people joining from all around the world. And that's the brilliant thing about virtual. It doesn't matter where you are, you can join from that location. And you haven't got to worry about, travel, parking, the kerfuffle of the largest car park in the UK, that's the M25. It makes life a lot simpler for people to be able to get there. So I do believe that these virtual expos, meetings, networking, whatever you want to look at, are here to stay. It's all about now how they get balanced and how we integrate them so you can have the best of both. But like, get your cake and eat it. That's or have your cake and eat it.
Yeah, that kind of combo, right? No, let's cut out the commute, but ramp up the engagement. And I hope it's just not an excuse to get more stuff done. I hope it's an opportunity to enhance how we engage with each other. So we spend less time stuck in traffic and more time in a face-to-face style of environment.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Nick, what I think we'll do is we'll take a very quick ad break. And when we come back, we will be getting our first guest onto the morning breakfast show. We'll be back in 2. Okay, Nick, here we go. Our first guest for this Thursday's breakfast show. Let's welcome onto our virtual platform in hybrid mode, Sharon Brower. Good morning, Sharon. Welcome to the studio.
Good morning, everybody. How are you all?
We're very well. Yes, we mustn't complain. That, well, I was going to say the sun was shining, but it's got a little bit cloudy out my window today. I'm glad I'm inside and not outside. But more importantly, how are you? How has the world of lockdown and retransitioning back into real world affecting you and your business? We'll get a little bit understand more about what you do very shortly as well.
Do you know what? It hasn't affected me very much at all because I set up my business during lockdown. So it's a purely digital business and it continues to be so. I've been working from home. We are renting out and we're starting to look at some office space. So that will be a bit of a change. But for the moment, we're in the conservatory with a dodgy green screen.
Yeah, you're kind of hiding in the bottom corner, actually. I don't know if you can shuffle yourself more into the middle. We want to see you, Sharon, when we're out.
Oh, no, you don't.
Now we can see you. So, Sharon, tell us a little bit more about Argus Accounting. Obviously, you've got that on your virtual background there, which is great. But, tell us a bit more about what Sharon does and Argus Accounting, what you do. Obviously, an accountancy practice, but what are the type of clients you're working with and stuff like that?
So Argus was formed basically because I'm a bit of an accounting rebel at the end of the day, and I don't like the way traditional accountancy firms work. I don't like the fact that their focus is on presenting their clients with bills for HMRC. Here's your quarterly VAT bill. Here's your corporation tax bill. Here's your self-assessment bill. That's not working for their clients. Who are the guys paying them? That's just being a tax collector. It doesn't serve any purpose for clients. And that world really frustrated me. I spent 20 years in practices and decided, I want to do this differently. And I want to work with my clients in a way that I have a benefit for their business so that I become an asset on their balance sheet rather than a liability all the time. And it's working with them to help them grow their business, to understand them as business owners, understand what they want out of their businesses, why they're in their businesses. At the end of the day, why do we do this? We go into our businesses because it's a vehicle to a lifestyle we want. So I want to help my clients achieve that lifestyle. First, I have to understand it. And then depending on the spot you are on your business journey and how far around your business cycle you are, we then look at exit strategies. How are you exiting your business? Is it going to be a management buyout? Is it something you're going to sell? Because there's different preparations that you do for that exit to ensure that you maximize and get everything out of that exit that you want. So it's a holistic view and a very different view to working in the world of accountancy, going from daily bookkeeping. We do VAT returns, obviously. We do year-end accounts, but differently. Our focus is on management accounts and giving you today information, not 9 months ago. This was a snapshot of your business, which is now history and rather irrelevant.
That sounds, I'm loving it already, Sharon, the accounting rebel. The words I can see up there, ultimate business support. I know what that feels like. I know what the old style of accounting was like. And then I did a switch to an accountant that did exactly that. I was very interested in my business. And we'll often, we'll get together and say, so what are you doing, Nick? We'll talk about the numbers, of course, because they're important. In fact, they're the lifeblood of the business. But a lot of conversations will be focused on, so what are you going to do about that? And how does that work? And just exploring from his perspective, which is it's lovely to have someone else's eyes on the business, more of a reality check, if nothing else.
Absolutely. And it's that support. Running your own business is a lonely place. You need a sounding board. You need that network that supports you and understanding the numbers. So I will do a customer analysis. I will talk to my clients about why are you losing customers if that's the case? What can we do to retain them? If we put your prices up just by a couple of %, what's the impact on your margin? If in putting your prices up, you lose a client or two, what's the impact on your bottom line still? It could be that you're doing less work for more money. It's all scenarios to explore. And it's those avenues. That is what I love doing with a business owner.
Yeah, and it's really important. One of the things I really pick up on what you're saying there, business can be lonely. For people out there running businesses, I've been running businesses now in excess of 25 years. I've had business partners. I've got businesses where I'm the sole owner and sole director. I've had lots of great people around me, from consultants through to advisors, through to my own team members. But even then, it can be lonely. Even then, you just want someone to have that conversation with, someone to offload on. What do you think about that? And kind of, they go, oh, that's really interesting. And they come back with some friendly advice. Whether you listen to it or not, of course, is entirely up to you. But absolutely, I think it's one of the biggest things in business is about the relationships you build and develop, and having someone there to sit alongside you in the jump seat. But when you need to pull that ejector cord, they're with you all the way on the way down. But when that chute opens, they're with you on the way up as well. Not that I know people are going to come back and say, David, parachutes don't go up. But we always know when you push, it kind of stops and it looks like you're going upwards. It's just, that's the way it is. But so, Sharon, you're working with these business owners. Do you work with many family businesses? Because you talk about exit strategies and stuff like that. And I know family businesses can be, not all, but sometimes they can be the ones that do bump heads quite often. Do you work with family businesses? And if you do, how do you manage that relationship?
Absolutely. So I work with mostly owner-managed businesses. So often that can be a husband and wife team or a couple of brothers. There's a pair that I work with, and they don't always see eye to eye. But I almost find myself being their accountability partners and their facilitator to say, well, look, there is a common ground here. Let's just explore that and let's find that common ground. And the challenge you then have is saying to them, actually, do you know what? While everything's nice and you're both happy and everything's hunky-dory in your world, put in place a shareholders agreement so that when everything isn't so hunky-dory in your world and you're not playing so nice, there are principles in place and rules in place that you have to play by effectively, which isn't always an easy one. And when you then go on and you talk to clients about, okay, so should you not be here tomorrow, what happens to your part in the business? Do you have an LPA for your business? What are your plans? And going on from that, there's a family that I'm working with where his heart and soul is in the business, not on the business, which is great, but he hasn't given much consideration to pensions. He hasn't given much consideration to protecting his family. Those are conversations we have to have, and not just even pensions, touching on what are you doing about a will? Because all these things, and if we can take some of that pressure off a business owner and it's not something that's nagging at the back of their minds, they move forward smoother with their businesses. So it's a release, basically.
That sounds a very sensible approach. I do love the idea of accountability, Sharon. But one quick question. What does LPA stand for?
So LPA is lasting power of attorney.
Oh, okay. All right.
Effectively appoints somebody else. Should something happen to you tomorrow, somebody else will step in and effectively run your business as you would want them to.
Yeah. Okay. That makes sense. And you say you started the business in lockdown, right? So fairly new. That must have been a challenge. How did that happen?
It's been interesting. Look at it that way. So I decided in December 19 that this is what I want to do. Went back after the Christmas break, handed in my notice, but was on a ridiculous notice period. So my notice wasn't up until the 1st of May.
Oh, wow.
And then obviously in between time, COVID's come and here we are. So it's been an interesting journey, but we're there.
Yep. And is finding clients in lockdown more difficult than finding clients in the go out there and network kind of world?
It has been a challenge. My whole thing is it's the relationship I build up with my clients. And it's a lot easier to build those relationships up face to face. It can be done on Zoom. Don't get me wrong. I've got one client who lives in Spain. So our relationship is always going to be on Zoom. And that's come to a point where I was talking to her the other day and there was a bit of noise in the background. I can't remember if it's kids or animals, but pop them in the same pot. And I said to them, just be quiet, guys, I'm on a call. And she said to me, she said, don't worry. She said, I'm a friend. It's fine. Yeah. And that's the relationship I build up with my clients. Within the accountancy world, they say the lifetime of a client is roughly 5 to 6 years. I've had clients who I've worked with for the last 14 years and have followed me from practice to practice. So, and they're referring me to other clients, which makes that client attraction a little bit easier. Social media has formed a big part of my client strategy, and you'll see regular posts from me on LinkedIn, hoping just to add some value. Just that the theory is that 5% of your audience is ready to buy now, 40% of your audience is ready to buy in the next year. So it's just keeping that constant information coming, making it relevant, making it something they learn from and gain from, that when they say, oh, I'm looking for somebody, you're in their mind. So it's a slow burner, but it's burning.
Yeah, absolutely. So top tips as an expert in your field, knowing the numbers. I always like to refer accountant, the word accountant sounds quite boring sometimes, but knowing your numbers sounds a little bit more exciting. But knowing your numbers and working with those numbers and crunching them and making them hopefully look very appealing to the business owner or the people you're working with. That's kind of your game, really, is to make them understand. You can't necessarily change their sales ethics or, make things different. You can only present what is presented to you in the right format. But what you can do is that you can highlight areas that they need to think about, areas of concern, and areas that are working well, and say, look, guys, this is working well, do more of. But as a knowing your numbers lady, what would you say are your top tips to business owners, when we're talking about the accountancy world? I mean, you can tell us anything, if you've got other business tips, but maybe one or two of your top tips that you could share with us now and add value as you use.
Absolutely. So I'd always say identify your KPIs, understand what your key performance indicators are and what you want to measure. Then ensure that your chart of accounts that works behind any software that you're using is structured in a way that it's able to easily report on those KPIs. So that in between management information, you can dip in, take a look and see what's happening, and you get a good picture. I also work with my clients with graphs and pictures, because not everybody likes numbers. We may like numbers and spreadsheets, but it's not everybody's bag. I do an analysis of a client's expenses, because very often if they have a team doing their procurement, where is their money going? What are they spending on? Be aware of where you store your profit, and the stationery cupboard isn't a good place. A well-stocked stationery cupboard is great, but if you've got a box of it, or a few boxes of dozens of highlighters, as an example, which is a popular one, people have pink ones, blue ones, yellow ones, that's great, but they dry up. And then where do you put them? Pop them in the bin.
Yeah.
Where are you storing your profit now? It's not the most sensible place. So giving a business owner that understanding of where their money goes, and working with them in a framework to say, actually, just think about what you're spending, contain your OPEX expenses and what you're operating on and what you're running your business on day to day, because that's your biggest leak. So it's different. And my other thing, and I'm passionate about this, is profit first analogy. So Profit First is a book by a chap called Mike Michalowicz, who I've done some training with him and I would like to do a lot more. But basically what he says is you take your real revenue, so you calculate that by stripping out your direct recharge costs. So in my case, I'm a zero hero. I'd strip out my zero recharges. And you strip out your VAT if you're VAT registered, and you end up with the money, the bit that's yours now. Then you split that into pots, a bit like after the war, where your grandmother had envelopes and she put £50 for rent, £50 for electric, £20 for this, whatever it was. You split that and you take out your profit first. That's the pot that goes put away. That's for paying you as the owner. You then take out two savings pots, long-term and short-term. Tax pot. Nobody likes it, but put the money away. It's far less painful. Yeah. And then what's left is what you run your business on.
Yeah, so great.
Every business is then profitable.
Excellent tips. The world of social media that you mentioned is alive and well, Sharon. Commenting on your on the value that you're adding. Chris Dames has commented more than once. As expected, great tips from Sharon. Thank you, Chris.
You're welcome.
Good to see you viewing the show. I'm slightly panicked now, Sharon. I imagine people going back to their offices and opening up their stationery cupboards and shaking their heads. Thinking, look at the state of my profit.
Right, exactly.
Grabbing their highlighters and testing them. That's dead. Oh, that one worked. We'll keep that for another 6 months. The question is, are people still using normal highlighters, I've got a pen here, normal pens and stuff? Because lots of us, I certainly have, and I know many others have, not everybody, but we've gone digital. The highlighter's now built into a button on the screen. So the times are changing. But the analogy is a fantastic one, Sharon. It really is. Where are you storing your money? And the old days of stocking the stationery cupboard up that you had every pen, colour, pencil, ruler, rubber, protractor, whatever it was stored in there. I think them days are changing, and people are waking up to the fact they have to be smarter.
Absolutely.
Yeah, profit first. I think that kind of really resonates. Profit
100%.
first, and if you're really sensible and brave, you're putting the stuff in separate accounts or envelopes. So
Challenger banks have got pots, so you can literally transfer money into separate pots within your bank. So it's not in your current account. You can't access the pots. It caps that spending.
Yeah, makes sense. For a courageous, and I love this human approach to relationships and understanding each other and having conversations about business. Real down to earth conversations and speaking in pictures rather than just this is what the spreadsheet says. Yeah, love it.
You've made Nick's day by talking about human interaction, Sharon. It's what Nick does on a day-to-day basis. As much as Nick has had to come round to endorsing technology and saying, do you know what, I've got to, use technology in my business. The face-to-face element is Nick's absolute bag and something he is expounds in. So, really, really interesting. Sharon, it's been great to have you on the show this morning and sharing your accountancy and knowing your number top tips. It's been great to have you here and listen more about what your business does. Hopefully you'll stick with us in the green room. You can sit there and watch the rest of the show. Sharon Bora from Argos Accounting, thank you very much for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thanks, Sharon.
Bye-bye. Well, Nick, great start to the show as always.
Brilliant. And once again, outstanding stuff. People come on, share loads of value, and just so generous. And I love it. Right, it is about relationships. It is about conversations. Right, and there's nothing like a conversation where everybody in the conversation understands. Right, and I hear a lot of accountants talk about stuff, and it's whoosh. A lot of people talk in abstraction, right? They might know what it all means, but us in the audience don't really know. So when someone takes time and uses their communication skills to make sure, actually, that makes sense, that resonates. Oh, I get it. I know what you mean about the stationery cupboard or the envelopes. It just makes it all come alive.
Yeah. Do you have a stationery cupboard, Nick?
No, but I love my highlighters, right?
Yeah,
I don't have too many of them, but I'm a big fan of highlighters. I've highlighted some of the notes for today.
Yeah, absolutely. There is something about putting a line through and making it jump off the page. And as speakers, we have our tips, we share with others as well, how we remember. A lot of people say to me, how do you stand up on stage and speak without notes? And it does come with what I call the 3 Ps, planning, practice and preparation. But it is, highlighting certain elements. And I don't mean physically getting a highlighter with your notes in your hand, but highlighting certain aspects that you want to, share with the audience. Talking of speaking, Nick, obviously you're going to be getting back onto that real world stage at some point in the not too distant future. It's starting to happen now. I think events are starting to kick off in about June time. So we're only probably several weeks away. Hopefully everything will stay as is and we won't have to be locked back down and, not be able to continue along that path. Are you looking forward to getting back out there? I know you're a human person, but you're looking forward to getting back on that raised platform in most cases and actually address an audience?
Very, very much, my friend. I'm definitely going to, for the first few gigs, definitely going to take my slippers. And I'm going to present in my slippers because I think that will resonate with the audience because we've been doing it for so long. And oddly enough, when you talk about speaking without notes, okay, the thing that for you it's the 3 Ps. For me, it was vanity. I didn't want to be on stage and present with my glasses on. Right, that's just vanity. So I had contact lenses, so I could see my notes. Right, and then the contact lenses were uncomfortable, and I had a dilemma. Right, I either get rid of the contact lenses, all right, which means put my glass on, or get rid of the notes. All right, so I got rid of the notes so I could take the contact lenses out. No notes, no glasses. Nick looks much younger. Way. But now I wear my glasses a lot more often. This is now me.
You still look pretty young there, Nick. That's not,
vanity, mate. Ridiculous. Yeah. And a big lesson for me, right? Absolutely love being on stage, love working with audiences, but you're only there for the audience, right? No one really cares about you, Nick. You just deliver value, right? You're there for the audience. Doesn't matter. Glasses, no glasses. Just vain, man. Vain. So I'm up for bookings, right? With no vanity, glasses or no glasses, slippers or no slippers. I am available for huge gigs. Bring it on.
Absolutely. I must admit, I'm looking forward to getting back out there and delivering great content, meeting new and old faces as well, and having the opportunity to stand, be it socially distanced, probably still, a metre or two away, and being able to share a conversation or two with a coffee and a bacon butty if it's in the morning, or a plate of sandwiches if it's a lunchtime venue. So yeah, looking really forward to that happening. But before we bring on our next guest, we're a few minutes away from bringing our next guest onto the show. Let's talk a little bit more around kind of the transition of uni. So when we kicked off uni back at end of last year, we set uni up, by the way. It's the University of Entrepreneurs and Enterprise. And it's all about helping anyone from a great idea, start-up business through to more established organisation on their journey. And we've done some great things. And it's kind of a bit of a social enterprise that we are giving our time in lots of cases for nothing to help others on their journey. And then there's a commercial side to it. Of course, we've got to make profit. I've got children that need feeding and a roof over the head that needs to be stuck there. And I'm going to need some new shoes as well at some point, because obviously we're going back out in the real world. But what we realised when we set this chat show up on the back of uni, it was super successful. People were loving, meeting and hearing from great guests coming on the show. So we come up with a rebrand, haven't we, Nick? Or we're launching a rebrand in the coming weeks. Do you want to spill the beans on it and kind of give a little taster of what's to come?
Absolutely, my friend. Very exciting. Very exciting. So watch this space for an evolving brand. We're moving from uni to Chatbox Productions. Chatbox Productions will kind of feel slightly different. Still be us talking with great guests. We may focus a little bit less on business and focus a little bit more on what's going on in the world. Some more maybe general areas of interest to really encourage that interaction from our audience.
And we're bringing more great guests on, and we're going to cram more great content in. Good morning to Donna Franklin. Good morning. Nice to have you join us this morning. We work and support Donna, Writtle University College in Chelmsford. Great university college if you're thinking about horticulture and agriculture. That's a great place to look at. Lots of other great courses there. But good morning, Donna, and thank you for tuning in this morning. We'll get you on the show, Donna. It'd be great to hear what's happening in the education world. That'll be on the new Chatbox show as well, because we're full up until the end of the month.
Chatbox Productions. I can't wait.
It's gonna be awesome. It's really gonna be good. And of course, we're gonna focus around kind of all different types of subjects. So if you're interested in joining us on Chatbox Productions, starting off in June, drop us an email. You can email us at uni. Okay, so that easy way is hello@uni.co.uk. You can go onto our Twitter feed, Facebook feed, pop a message in the box there and let us know that, do you know what? I'd love to come on and share some great value with you guys and have a conversation. And we look forward to welcoming you on the show as well. Right, Nick, ad break time. And shall we get back and then introduce our next guest of the morning?
Oh, yes. Very excited. Maybe I'm perhaps too excited today. But yeah, very excited about our next guest for sure. Excellent work, David. And our next guest, delighted to have her on the show. We've been talking about it for some time. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a virtual round of applause for the lovely Paula Ruane.
Good morning, Paula, and welcome to the studio.
Yeah, good morning, David. Good morning, Nick. It's really wonderful to be here, and thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're very, very welcome, Paula. It's great to have you on the show. Lots to talk about, for sure. Not least the fact that you are a stress specialist and resilience trainer. Like just that gives me masses to talk about. I have experienced some stress in the past, but it must be on the increase. Paula, what does it mean to be a stress specialist?
It means for me and for my clients that I am not stress management. That's the first thing. Why would you want to manage your stress if you can possibly prevent it in the first place? So that's really the heart of what I do. And my clients usually, if it's a team or whether it's an individual, they're just experiencing prolonged periods of intense pressure. And so their normal coping mechanisms aren't as efficient, aren't serving them as well. So I teach them a whole range of tools that actually increases their capacity. So it's not just about getting through it. It's about coming through it really well with less wear and tear on them.
Sounds very, very healthy. And is that where resilience training comes from? Does it come hand in hand, those two things?
Well, if you ask people what resilience is, most people say it's bouncing back, which it is in a way. But today's resilience is slightly different. And I use a program which was evolved by a company called HeartMath. And it was originally put into practice for the US Navy SEALs. So if you imagine modern warfare is not fighting a battle, running at people, but it's sitting there for really long periods of inactivity, but they've got to be totally on it. But they can't be hyper on it, because then there are accidents and, friendly fire it's called, which is a nice way of saying shooting your own people. So, it's about that state of balanced alertness, but at ease too, the way you'd want your paramedic to be or your airline pilot, not hyper and not so chilled.
So that's HeartMath, you say?
HeartMath, yeah. And the idea is that the heart and the brain gives you the logic and the emotions together in unison. And when they're working completely together, you support your immune system, your nervous system, and your hormonal system. And so it's no coincidence that people who are very stressed develop all sorts of physical symptoms. There was an article yesterday in the paper saying that there is now a link with depression and inflammation. Well, there's a thing. What is depression? It very often starts with irritation, frustration, comes inward. Why wouldn't the body also be irritated, which is what inflammation is?
So, Paula, how do you help individuals? So they come to you, or obviously they're introduced to you. What's the first thing that you would do? And obviously, I'm not asking you here to kind of go through the whole process, but how do you start to understand that where someone's at? How do you start to unpick kind of the situation they find themselves in, and how do you start to rebuild and get them back to some type of normality? If that's maybe the wrong word to use, but hopefully you understand my question.
No, it's absolutely fine, and it is about getting back to feeling normal, or maybe better than normal. So I'm not a talk therapist. So there aren't endless hours of dragging over the coals. I want to find out, I don't want labels either, because if I ask you what stress is, it's totally different to the way you experience to say Nick or someone else. So, and HeartMath, it's about our emotions. I know it's not a good word to use in the UK, the E word for emotions, but the heart, you may not know this, the heart sends more messages to the brain than the other way around. So it's not what you know, it's how you feel about what you know. And that's what motivates us or influences our outcomes. So I'm looking at what people have been through that resonates with them still. And it could be a couple of things. And I ask them how it affects them. They fill out a very short questionnaire to fulfill my insurance on the medical side. And I also use a voice scan. So it's a 10-second voice scan where people literally talk into the microphone on their device, and it throws up screens showing me where inflammation could be.
Now, Nick had a go at this, didn't you, Nick? Nick, are you happy that I share your results on the screen, and then Paula can maybe talk us through a little bit of it? Well, I'm intrigued to know.
I'm more than happy because they're not my results; they're Paula's results.
Okay, yeah, cool. Okay.
Yeah, so this was mind blowing, Paula, when we did this. So it looked almost too good to be true that all I had to do was talk into the microphone, and it guided me. Right, I was just counting down from 1 to 10 or 10 to 1. At 10 seconds of talking into the microphone, David, and then the amount of stuff, the amount of information gleaned by Paula and the tech was just blew my socks off. So yeah, show the image, and then Paula give us a bit of a.
Here we go. I'll leave it up for about 30 seconds so everyone can just kind of get an understanding. You won't read all the small text, but it kind of gives you the visuals.
Okay, if you do actually leave it there, David, because I've got to remind myself of what this scan was. It was in February. So I don't know if people can see, but the top left-hand corner shows diet and hydration. So it indicates whether there's something slightly out of kilter with my diet. So the reason I did it actually was it was February, I was putting on weight, and I didn't need this to tell me I was eating too many crisps, chocolate, and drinking too much wine. So it showed me then that there was a little bit to be concerned about. Also, it's dark in February. I wasn't doing the amount of walking I normally do. So movement, which is a purple, is flagging up as a high priority. And then oxygenation, which is the one on the right, that's linked with not moving around much, but it's also when people are under pressure or stress, they don't breathe properly. So that's an orange, which is priority. Lower left, it shows day, night. They're both yellow, so that's just unsettled, but that's our circadian rhythms. Are we getting enough replenishing sleep? And if not, how is your daytime? Are you alert? Are you focused? And then the other is just about things like electronic smog, things from the phone, microwaves, that sort of thing. But what it really was, do you want to show the next screen as well, David?
That's the only one I have, so unfortunately I can't go to the next one. But
no, that's fine. So the reason this was going on was partly because of lockdown, and I think most of us have felt, that we needed to turn to food for comfort because it makes us feel better or something. And I had given up. I had a franchise of networking, which I deliberately took time away from in December, and I was feeling slightly at a loss, I suppose. I have my friends, I have my circle, but this is a big change, and change creates uncertainty. And this is just a small reflection of what everyone's been going through, really. And so it's really helpful, and I can see so much there. And as with Nick, I started probing with a few questions, and he told me as much as he did or didn't want to. And then we didn't actually do anything else, but I will follow up with him again if you would like to carry on, to teach him some tools to deal with it. Because that's the thing, we want to be able to do something in the moment, not wait, not let it fester and build. We want to be able to take action and change things for the better.
It was a 10 second, right? 10 seconds talking to your microphone. Right? This microphone, not a specialist doctor comes around with a microphone. This one, right? And along the top of that image, David, there was different categories, and there's stuff to learn in each of those categories. Some really interesting conversations came out of the findings. A little bit of probing, which was very welcome. A bit of accountability. What's going on with this? This indicates this. I I think I've been stepped into sci-fi world, and kind of made me dizzy with the possibilities. And I totally agree, Paula. The lockdown has been different for everybody, right? It's been tough. They do say you come out of lockdown either a hunk, a chunk, or a drunk. Right? One of those. One of those. And and the reading will tell you which one you're going to be. Yeah, hunk, chunk, or drunk. Yeah, you choose. Yeah, one of those.
That's hysterical. I'm going to use that. Well, it is very, very high tech and sci-fi. And my joke is I look like Mrs. Tiggywinkle, but I'm really Star Trek.
Yeah, absolutely. And Paul, of course, anything you can do, not that Nick's a stress type of guy anyway, but anything you can do to make him much more happy, and when we're doing the shows together, that his stress level doesn't rise, can only be a big bonus for me, of course, having to stay in the same studio with him week in, week out. But on a serious note, I think this is a fantastic tool to be able to help anybody, really. I suppose does it work with certain age groups, or is it kind of anybody and everybody could actually participate in this?
Absolutely. So I've been trialing with a global training company where they have people obviously around the world, and they've been scanning themselves before team meeting days. And then I've been having just 10 minutes. So what I did with Nick, I think it was about 45 minutes. I've been condensing it just to the main things, and then having follow-ups afterwards. So it's been helping them. I do work with anyone. I work with teams and individuals. I've got a specialist program without the scanning, but by HeartMath for children aged between 9 and 15, it deals with things like bullying, because they need to be resilient too. They need to come through school and all that it brings with the results they need. I've got pretty much every age group covered.
Fantastic. Massively important, Paula. We'd talk about stress and resilience, and it's not too far into that conversation until you start thinking about, but what about the kids? Right? What about the stress they're under?
I mean, it's shocking that children are suffering from stress. The childhood is so short, and the way we are now as grown-ups for such a long time, that it should be totally carefree and happy and joyful, and it's not. And 74% of the working population report chronic stress, but the worrying figure is that 50% say they won't talk to anyone, not a colleague, not a team leader, a boss, anyone. So that means that this is a problem. And I would like to just say before, I run out of time, that today's stress is not a mental illness. They're declassifying anxiety in the US. It's a symptom of how we work. And if there's one thing I would say to people is try and tune out of social media as much as you can, because it's this being on 24/7 constant alert. It just is draining us at every sense. And we do need that balance between rest and restoring and recovery, so that we're better equipped to charge our inner batteries to deal with the next day.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you are going to deregister from social media a little bit, don't do that on Thursday mornings between 8 and 9, everybody. That's the most important time that you keep your social media on. Donna has put into the chat box, sounds incredible, Paula. So intriguing. What a fantastic tool to then put strategies into place to address imbalance. Absolutely, 100% agree with that comment there. Before we say thank you and goodbye, Paula, if people are thinking things are stressful or finding things are stressful, of course, they can reach out to you, and I'll get you to just tell us how they can reach out to you in a second. But is there anything they can do as a kind of tip? Is there anything that you can sort of suggest they start to try to reduce that level of stress before maybe they reach out and take it to the next level?
Yeah. So first of all, go for more walks. Go for walks, get out in nature, surround yourself by green if you can. So the more green there is, the more restful we find it, because it's only recently in our history that we've started being in all the time, and in particular during lockdown. Drink more water, go to bed a bit earlier and get up a bit earlier. Fit your walking in first thing in the morning. Morning light is more recharging than afternoon light. Don't do hard exercise after 5 o'clock if you can help it, because you're bringing in a lot of cortisol then, which is one of the things that stops our sleep. So walk or swim after 5. Tell someone you love them each day if you can, and always be in touch and have a moan and a whinge, and don't be afraid to lose your temper. You know, we need to get rid of all these emotions so that we can rebalance ourselves. And the main thing is to feel good. Do your best to help yourself feel good as often as possible.
These are more than just top tips, Paula. This is a rules to live by.
But we don't live by them anymore.
We don't. We're so lost in the busyness. We don't stop, and I think we need to stop a lot more.
We live in an artificial world. We're online. We eat food that's artificially produced. It's then processed. You know, it's tweaked so that we become addicted to it. It's a whole thing. You know, we've lost touch with ourselves. So lockdown's been brilliant in some ways, because in the first one, people loved seeing clearer skies. They loved hearing the birds sing. They loved getting to know their neighbours, family time. They loved not feeling guilty about doing less. That was one of the biggest things. So, you know, you are worth it. Taking the time out for yourself, you really are worth it. And you are the captain of the ship. And if you go down, everyone goes down.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Paula, they were some fantastic tips. I was expecting maybe 2 at the worst case, but you gave us probably nearly 8 or 9 there, and they're all fabulous. And actually, I'm thinking, you know what, I should be doing some of those. I know I should be, but I'm not. And it's just kind of, you know, made me reminisce that I need to be going out and spending more time in the outside world, more walks, more fun, you know, more activity, I think, is my key there. So Paula, been great having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming on and, you know, and sharing so much great content.
Thank you both. Thank you,
Paula. Fabulous.
We'll see you soon. Thank you, Paula. All the best. Well, there we go, Nick. Another fantastic guest joining us on the show. What a morning it's been already.
It's brilliant, isn't it? Brilliant. Are we the luckiest guys in the world right now? Just able to share our time with such lovely people who are just so generous with their time and their knowledge. It's so great. So great. I feel sorry for anybody who's missed today's show. Catch up is definitely the way forward for them. But yeah, really cool, mate. And I totally agree with Paula that social media, okay, I know it's got its plus points. And I know Sharon, you know, has used it really effectively to grow the business. But I wish they hadn't stolen the word social, all right? Because there's nothing social about it. They just stole that word and made it their own. And people, they shorten it. You've got to be on social. You know, don't even talk about social media anymore. Nothing sociable about it whatsoever, realistically, apart from this show, my friend.
Absolutely, because we try to be as social as we can. Do you know what, Nick? I think we've got a couple of really exciting times coming up, because obviously the show is growing and gaining some great momentum. We're getting so many great speakers willing to come on here and share, you know, awesome content and lots of top tips and stuff like that. Obviously, we're rebranding it, and it's going to become Chatbox Productions, which we're going to
Chatbox Productions.
You can do the voiceover, and we're going to reach out to a wider audience and get more engagement and more people sharing and caring as well. But I can see in the not too distant future, the live show actually in a theatre with people there joining us. So it will be social, because we'll make sure that there's lots of social reasons to join. But that's something for the future. Let's not get too excited and carried away right now. Chatbox Productions will start next month. Be more about it on media. I'm not going to put the social bit in on social media. We'll be talking more about it, what's coming up in the future programs. And your feedback, guys. Let us know what you think about, you know, the stuff that Nick and I are sharing. what you would like to see on the show, what topics, who you would like to see on here. We can always go and find somebody. If we can find them, we'll bring them here if they will allow us to. So yeah, your feedback would always help us to reshape the future of quality chat shows.
Yeah, just like when we're on stage, mate, we're there for the audience. If the audience wants some stuff, then we'll be fools not to deliver. And one of the questions asked during the week was, is this available in podcast form?
Yes.
Really good. Thank you, Patrick, on LinkedIn for asking that question. Really good question. So Chatbox Productions will be producing a podcast from the show. So we'll bear that in mind. But yes, he quite rightly said, a lot of people just like to listen to content when, at their schedule rather than at a particular time. Still want it to be as live, but a podcast makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that's the key thing. We love the liveness. We like things just to happen as they happen, and we're not, we've got nothing to hide or cover up or edit out or tweak or anything like that. Let's just go with it. Raw, rough, and ready is what we believe in. And we do this like as a video cast so people can see us. But Nick and I, let's be honest, we've got a face for radio, not for TV. So maybe the podcast is the way forward. So we are going to do both. We're going to have the live stream that you can join us on the show as it streams with the video content, and then we're going to adapt it, basically the same audio feed. We're going to put it into a podcast so people can download and listen in, maybe when they're driving their car. Please don't listen and watch this whilst driving your car unless you're in the passenger seats. We don't want to be responsible for anything that can happen because you're watching Dave and Nick on your iPad, on your center console or something like that. That's just not going to work, is it? And if you're just joining us, I've seen a few more have joined us this morning. This is all recorded and you can find it on YouTube and on Facebook. So anything you've missed, you can scrub back through and watch the show, all those great bits again. I was going to say, watch those important parts again, but let's be honest, just start it at the beginning of the hour and watch the whole show.
Yeah, but I'm worried now, mate. People might just scrub past the bits when it's just you and I and just focus on the lovely guests. Yeah, it's Dave and Nick again. God, talking nonsense. Let's just fast forward and get to Sharon and Paula's bits.
Yeah, well, they can do that, but they're going to miss a great. It's all about the speakers. It's all about our guests that come on here. They're the ones that are adding terrific value, and it's great. So. We've got a busy day ahead. There's lots happening. We've got a few meetings lined up, Nick, because we're talking to more expos and exhibitions about putting on chat shows for their events coming up. So, we're going to be out there. We will hopefully get an opportunity to come along and have a chat with you directly. If we're at one of the local expos or if we're doing it virtually, we'd encourage you to come and join us as well.
Very excited about taking this show on the road and really pushing the tech, testing it. And just an opportunity to have more conversations with more lovely people. Any excuse will be there to bring some energy to an event.
Absolutely. So keep an eye on social media. Look for the transition from Uni TV into Chatbox Productions. We're going to have the coming soon plastered all over it. If you're interested in being on the show, reach out to us, pop it in the chat, send us an email, get in touch, however you will. Even if you send a carrier pigeon to us with a note that you'd like to be part of a future production, we would absolutely love to hear from you. Nick's going to be recording all our voiceovers. He's kind of demonstrated he has the voice of God. In fact, actually, I'm off to a meeting this morning that I'm hosting, and I do have the voice of God there. That's an FSB meeting. If you're interested, it's fsb.org.uk. Sign up to the Essex meeting that's at 11 o'clock today. And we have Paul Rose, who's the voice of God, who does the X Factor voiceovers. And I'm going to get him, Nick, to do the voiceovers for Chatbox Productions. There's a bit of a plug for you, Paul, if you're watching this. But if you want to come along and hear Paul and do some great networking with the Federation of Small Businesses, there's an opportunity for you. Right, Nick, we've got a couple of seconds to go. I'm going to let you see us out with your voice.
Well, I can't believe I've been sacked already as voiceover man for Chatbox Productions. Already? That didn't last long, did it? What a great show, mate. What a load of fun. What massive value. Great advice. Thank you very much to Sharon and to Paula for being so kind with your time and your knowledge and experience. It's been great. I've had a fabulous time. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for watching. And we'll see you again, same time next week.
Bye-bye.